Yo, I appreciate y'all now. And make sure y'all tap on that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like the information that you heard today or going to hear today. You understand? And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that way you can get all the videos that's uploaded to this channel. Y'all have a good one. Thanks. Oh yeah, mic check, 1 2 1 2. On a good old Friday. It's 8:08 to be exact in the AM. Where I'm at, you know what I'm saying? February 4th, 2022. About to get into the Athens. About to talk a little bit about democracy and all that. Where democracy come from? Democracy come from the Athens civilization, the Athenian civilization, right? That's where it comes from. Just so we know. The reason why I'm giving y'all this information is so that we can know what system we in, what we playing in, what kind of game we dealing with on a basic level. Just to give you the idea, you know, because let's say you playing a game, right, and you don't know the rules to the game, there's no way you will ever win. No way. A lot of people may say, hey, man, we can just change the game and start our own game. Yeah, that's true indeed. You can, but it's like going against the grain. You don't have anything to stand on to do that. I mean, I ain't saying what a person can't do. More power to you. But at the end of the day, you can't even say you ain't have a fair shot in the game that you're playing if you ain't never take the time to learn the rules. Now, the unfair part is it being a conscious effort to keep certain groups of people from knowing the rules, so it's always a sly hand or a cunning outlook on things sometimes. All right, but anyway, I'm just trying to let y'all know that this might help you. Because I'm teaching myself, you understand me? So whatever I'm giving y'all is something that I'm teaching myself and learning myself. So, it ain't that I'm trying to make you do nothing. I'm just trying to share. All right. So it say the history of Athens is the longest of any city in Europe. Right. The history of Athens is the longest of any city in Europe. That make Athens the most important. Off the rip, it made them the most important. The longest. All right. So it say the history of the Athens is the longest in the city in Europe. Athens has been continuously inhabited for at least 3,000 years. All right. Mm-hmm. For only 3,000 years, they've been inhabited. We know the world, the earth, has been inhabited for way longer than that. All right. So let's keep it moving. It say it was the birthplace of democracy, and it became the leading city of ancient Greece in the first millennium BCE. Another important thing, right? So it became the leading city of Greece. So Greece got its influence from the Athens. Okay? And we talk about the 5th century BCE. That's a long, 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 long time ago, right? For us modern day people to even think about. So that's why we don't know about this kind of stuff. It's like, man, what we care about some 500 BCE and all that there. We don't care nothing about none of that, man, way back then. What they got to do with my life right now? That's what most of us say. But like I said, though, they still run the same play from way back when. And we wonder why we don't really get a fair shake sometimes. Because we don't know the system that they've been playing. All right, but we about to learn a little bit about it today. When I ran across it when it said the democracy started in Athens, I was like, hold up, man, we under a democracy in America. I was like, hold up. If it started over there, that means we doing something over here that's from over there. That's what my common sense say. What? This is a democratic society. We live in a democracy. Democrat, huh? Which I already hear demon on top is there. Demon crack is there all day. But yeah. Let's keep going. Where did I stop off at? I said ancient Greece BCE. I said its cultural achievements during the 5th century BCE are said to have laid the foundations of Western civilization as revived and reinterpreted during the Renaissance and especially the Enlightenment. Okay, so it was revived and reinterpreted. What was? Democracy was during the Renaissance and especially the Enlightenment. That's key. So you know we had the Enlightenment age where you had all these people come out and be so smart and talking about this philosophy shit and yeah. So it's like this the revised part of it. This ain't even the real deal. You know what I mean? This the reinterpreted aspect of it, what we call whitewashing and all that time, all that there during the Renaissance era. And come on, man, come on. They say after a long period of decline under the rule of the Byzantine Empire and the Ottoman Empire. Okay, but it say again, it say after a long period of decline under the rule of the Byzantine Empire and the Ottoman Empire, Athens reemerged in the 19th century as the capital of the independent Greek state. So it's letting you know they start coming in when the Byzantine and the Ottoman Empire start going out. Okay, it says humanity remains indebted to Athenian civilization. Humanity does. That's everybody, right? It said the idea of representative parliamentary uh, parliamentary democracy owes its origins to Athens. Okay, disciplines such as philosophy and history continue to study texts written in ancient Athens, while the values of liberal humanism were also arrived from Athenian thought. Okay? So even the liberal aspect of things comes from the Athenians. Go back. Now it says origins and setting. Origins and setting. It said the name of Athens in ancient Greek was Athena, pronounced roughly Athena, something like that. Come nigh unto me. This is a plural form. The city was called the Athensis, since it was originally a group of villages which coalesced into a city. So a group of villages became a city. It said the name has no definite etymology in Greek. The Greeks believed the city was named for its protectress, the goddess Athena. But it is equally possible that the goddess took her name from the city. Athens began its history as a Neolithic hill fort on top of Acropolis, high city. Sometime in the 3rd millennium BCE, the Acropolis is a natural defense position which commands the surrounding plains. This settlement was about 8 kilometers, which is 8 miles, inland from the Saronic Gulf. In the center of the Sisyphean plain. Sisyphean plain, a fertile dale surrounded by hills. To the east lies Mount Hymettus. To the north, Mount Pentelicus. And to the west, Mount Aegaleus. The river Cephissus flowed in ancient times through the plain to the Gulf, passing slightly to the west of the Acropolis. A ridge runs down the center of the plain, of which Mount Lycabidus, outside the city to the east, is the highest point. I don't give a fuck about none of this shit I'm reading about right now. I don't care. That ain't none of my point. But I'm gonna read on through it. They say ancient Athens occupied a very small area compared to the sprawling metropolis of the modern Athens. The walled cities encompassed an area about 2 kilometers from east to west, and slightly less than that from north to south. Although at its peak, the city had suburbs extending well beyond these walls. The Acropolis was just south of the center of this walled area. The Agora, the commercial and social center of the city, was about 400 meters north of the Acropolis, in what is now the district. The hill of the Penis, where the Athenians assembly met, lay at the western end of the city. The most important religious site in Athens was the Temple of Athena, okay, the Virgin, the key. They say the most important religious site in Athens was the Temple of Athena, the Virgin, sound like Virgin Mary type stuff, known today as the Parthenon, which stood atop the Acropolis, where its evocative ruins still stand. So we see the woman on top of these buildings, state capitol buildings, stuff like that. Sometimes it must be Athena. All right. It say 2 other major religious sites: the Temple of Hafoziestas, which is still largely intact, and the Temple of Olympian Zeus, or Olympian, once the largest temple in Greece, was now mostly in ruins, also lay within the city walls. At its peak in the 5th or 4th century BCE, Athens and the suburbs probably had approximately 300,000 inhabitants. Of these, a large number were slaves or foreign residents, known as metiokia or medics, who had no political rights and paid for the right to reside in Athens. Perhaps only 10 or 20% of the population were adult male citizens. What? Only 10 or 20% were what? Adult male citizens. So that means most of the citizens were women or children. Women and children, huh? That's what they're trying to say. Out of 300,000 of them. Huh? And they had no political rights. Huh? And they paid for the right to reside. Come on, man. What the hell going on here? That sounds familiar. That sounds like the United States, though, don't it? Almost. Okay. 10-20% of male adult citizens eligible to meet. Okay. Say 10-20% of the population were adult male citizens eligible to meet and vote in the assembly and be elected to office. Wait, hold on. It say at first it was talking about they had no political rights. It said who had no political rights and paid for the right to reside in Athens. Perhaps only 10 or 20% of the population were adult male citizens, right? Eligible to meet and vote in the assembly and be elected to office. Okay, the males were able to. Okay, after the conquest of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BCE, the city began to lose its population as Greeks migrated to the newly conquered Hellenistic Empire in the east. All right, so after the conquest of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BCE, the city began to lose its population as Greeks migrated to the newly conquered Hellenistic Empire in the east. Okay, so they lost themselves when the Greeks came in and started conquering. The Athens did. All right. Now we're in the early history. early history. The Acropolis of Athens was inhabited from Neolithic times. By 1400 BCE, Athens had become a powerful center of the Mycenaean civilization. Unlike other Mycenaean centers, such as Mycenae and Pylos, Athens was not sacked and abandoned at the time of the Doric invasion of about 1200 BCE. And Athenians always maintained that they were pure Ionians with no Doric element. However, Athens lost most of its power and probably dwindled to a small hill fortress once again. By the 8th century BCE, Athens had reemerged by virtue of its central location in the Greek world. Its secure stronghold on the Acropolis and its access to the sea, which gave it a natural advantage over potential rivals such as Thebes and Sparta. From early in the first millennium BCE, Athens was a sovereign city-state ruled at first by the kings, kings of Athens. The kings stood at the head of a land-owning aristocracy known as the Eutridae, meaning the well-born. Whose instrument of government was a council which met on the hill of Ares, called the Areopagus. This body appointed the chief city officials, the archons, and the polemarch, commander-in-chief. What it say about archons? What it say? It say this body appointed the chief city officials, the archons, and the polemarch, commander-in-chief. Now it says during this period, Athens succeeded in bringing the other towns of the Attica under its rule. This process of synoekia, these words is hell, ain't it? It's a bringing together in one home, created the largest and wealthiest state on the Greek mainland. But it also created a larger class of people excluded from political life by the nobility. By the 7th century BCE, social unrest had become widespread, and Areopagus appointed Draco to draft a strict new law code, hence draconian. All right, that's where we get this draconian shit from, right? It say, when this failed, they appointed Solon with a mandate to create a new constitution in 594 BCE. Now it says reform and democracy. The reforms of Solon dealt with both economic and political issues. The economic power of the Euphrates was reduced by abolishing slavery as a punishment for debt, breaking up large landed estates, and freeing up trade and commerce. Right? It's what it said again. It said the economic power of the Euphrates was reduced by abolishing slavery as a punishment for debts. Okay, you abolish somebody's slavery as a punishment for debt. Okay, and it says breaking up large landed estates and freeing up trade and commerce, which allowed the emergence of a prosperous urban trading class. Politically, Solon divided the Athenians into 4 classes based on their wealth and their ability to perform military service. The poorest class, the Thetes or the Thetes, who were the majority of the population, received political rights for the first time, being able to vote in the ecclesia, right? It sounded like the ecclesiastica, right? Or the ecclesiastic, which means assembly, right? They was able to vote in the assembly, but only the upper classes could hold political office. All right, they was able to vote, but they couldn't hold political office. The people that was at the bottom, the majority of the population. It said Areopagus continued to exist, but its power were reduced. All right, when Athens started coming through doing their thing, it said the new system laid the foundations for what eventually became Athenian democracy. But in the short term, it failed to quell class conflict. And after 20 years of unrest, the popular party led by Hafoziestas a cousin of Solon, seized power in 541 BCE. It's a Hafoziestas, whoever that is usually called a tyrant. But the Greek word tyrannos does not mean a cruel or despotic ruler, merely one who took power by force. Okay, that's what a tyrant means. That's what they say, huh? How do you take by force? Let you whoop some bitches ass and kill some. Anyway, so it's a Hafoziestas was in fact a very popular ruler who made Athens wealthy, powerful, and the center of culture, and founded the Athenian naval supremacy in the Aegean Sea and beyond. He preserved the Solian, the Solinian, the Solinian, the Solinian, the Solinian, the Sol. How they pronounce that shit? But it says Solinian Constitution, right? He preserved the Solinian Constitution, but made sure that he and his family held all the offices of state. What he say? He made sure that his family held all the offices of state. Sound like a business to me, corporation and stuff. It said Stratus died in 527 BCE and was succeeded by his son Hippias and Hipparchus. They proved much less adept rulers, and in 514 BCE, Hipparchus was assassinated after a private dispute over a young man. It's assassinated after a private dispute over a young man, right? See Harmodius and Aristogiton, or something like that. What they trying to imply over a young man. All right, say this led Hippias to establish a real dictatorship, which proved very unpopular and was overthrown with the help of an army from Sparta. In 510 BCE, a radical politician of the aristocratic background, Cleisthenes or something like that, then took charge. He was the one who established democracy in Athens. So Cleisthenes, right, then took charge. He was the one who established democracy in Athens. The reforms of Cleisthenes abolished Solon's 4 classes and replaced them with 10 tribes, named after legendary heroes and having no class basis. They were in fact electorates. Each tribe was in turn divided into 10 demes. Okay, so they were divided into 10 demes, which became the basis of local government. Okay, local government. The tribes each elected 50 members to the boule or council of state. To the who? Boule or council of state, who govern Athens on a day-to-day basis. Okay, these people that rule day-to-day, man, let's start this over, man. They're breaking it down right now what democracy is all about. It was started by the Cleisthenes of Athens. All right, after I guess how they trying to make scene after the witch god came in. All right, it say they were in fact electorates. So you got the electorates. Let me start from the top. The reforms of Cleisthenes abolished Solon's 4 classes and replaced them with 10 tribes. Okay, you got 10 tribes named after legendary heroes and having no class basis, right? It say they were in fact electorates, right? Now, so it says each tribe, right, these 10 tribes was in turn divided into 10 demes, all right? So now, it say which became the basis of local government. So you got 10 demes and it's the basis of local government. It say the tribes each elected 50 members. So now you got 500 members, right? Right, 50 members to the boule or council of state. So you got 50 members, 500 people that's within this part of it. It say who governed Athens on a day-to-day basis. All right, so these day-to-day operation people. The assembly was open to all citizens and was both a legislature and a supreme court, except in murder cases and religious matters, which became the only remaining function of the Areopagus. Most offices were filled by lot, though the 10 strategoi, which are generals, were for obvious reasons elected. This system remained remarkably stable and with a few brief interruptions, remained in place until Roman times. Okay? So classical Athens. It said prior to Athens' greatness, the city of Sparta considered itself the leader of the Greeks, or hegemon. So that's why they came in trying to take over. They felt like they was first. And it says in 500 BCE, Athens sent troops to aid the Ionian Greeks of Asia Minor, who were rebelling against the Persian Empire. See Ionian Revolt. This provoked two Persian invasions of Greece, both of which were defeated under the leadership of the Athenian soldier statesman Miltiades and Themistocles. See Persian Wars. In 490 BCE, the Athenians defeated the first invasion at the Battle of Marathon. All right, it's a marathon. It said the Athenians defeated the first invasion at the Battle of Marathon. In 480 BCE, the Persians came back and captured and burned Athens, but the Greeks defeated them at the naval battle of Salamis. Right? It says hegemony was passing to Athens, and it was Athens that took the war to Asia Minor. These victories enabled it to bring most of the Aegean and many parts of Greece together in the Delian League. Okay, the Delian League, which was an Athenian dominated alliance. All right, so in this alliance, even though they was with the other folks, it was mostly Athenians that was running it. It say the 5th century BCE marked the zenith of Athens as a center of literature, philosophy. See Greek philosophy, right? So it's in the 5th century BCE marked the zenith of Athens, right, as the center of literature, philosophy. And they say look at Greek philosophy when you're talking about Athens. Ain't that something? And they say in the arts, see Greek theater. Okay? Greek theater, arts, all that come from Athens. Some of the greatest names of Western cultural and intellectual history lived in Athens during this period. The dramatist Aeschylus or whatever, Aristophanes, Euripides, and Sophocles, the philosophers Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates, Socrates, the historians Herodotus, Thucydides, and Xenophon, the poet Simonides, and the sculptor Phidias. The leading statesman of this period was Pericles, who used the tribute paid by the members of the Delian League, who used the tribute paid by the members of the Delian League to build the Parthenon and other great monuments of classical Athens. The city became, in Pericles' words, the school of Hellas, Greece, the school of Greece. All right, so y'all see how these people came apart, Aristotle, the Plato, the Socrates, all that part during the Enlightenment and Renaissance era. You see what I'm saying? Where they started remixing the truth of the Athens. Yeah. When the Greeks came in doing their thing, and the other people came in trying to take over and all that, start mixing it up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's keep going. It's a fear of Athenian power of dynamism led to the Peloponnesian shit. What they say? It's a Peloponnesian War. It said it led to the Peloponnesian War in 431 BCE, which pitted Athens and her increasingly rebellious sea empire against a coalition of land-based states led by Sparta, and lasted 27 years. The democracy was briefly overthrown in the summer of 411 BCE due to its poor handling of the war, but quickly restored. The war ended with the complete defeat of Athens in 404 BCE. That's when they really love to say, since the defeat was largely blamed on democratic politicians such as Cleon and Cleophon, there was a brief reaction against democracy. Okay, so they started kind of going against democracy since they felt it's aided by the Spartan, aided by the Spartan army, the 30 tyrants. So the 30 tyrants is the ones that caused them to kind of go against the democracy. All right, it said in 403 BCE, democracy was restored and an amnesty declared. However, Socrates was sentenced to death and executed at this time. I ain't know Socrates was killed. If it was real, it was real. They say many consider his execution to have been an act of retaliation due to the fact that several traitors to the Athenian democracy, Charmides, Critias, Alcibiades, were his students. So he got caught up in somebody else's route. They say during the 4th century BCE, Athens regained some of her power, reestablishing a modified Delian League and defeating Sparta in alliance with Thebes 369 BCE. By mid-century, however, the northern kingdom of Macedon was becoming dominant in Greek affairs, despite the warning of the last great statesman of independent Athens, Demosthenes. In 338 BCE, the armies of Philip II defeated the Greek cities at the Battle of Coronea, effectively ending Athenian independence. Okay, what did it say? It said in 338 BCE, the armies of Philip II defeated the Greek cities at the Battle of Coronea, effectively ending Athenian independence. However, finally denounced by the Philippics, Demosthenes, his orations gave that word its continuing significance as a denunciation. It said his orations gave the word its continuing significance as a denunciation. Philip prevailed. Further, the conquest of his son, Alexander the Great, widened Greek horizons and made the traditional Greek city-state obsolete. Okay. So it's Alexander the Great came in and furthered it. So it's Philip's son, obviously, is what it seems like they're saying. And he came in and made the situation even more dire for the Greek. He's basically trying to erase them. It said Athens remained a wealthy city with a brilliant cultural life, but ceased to be an independent power. In the 2nd century BCE, after 200 years of Macedonian supremacy, Greece was absorbed into the Roman Empire. So Greece became a part of the Roman Empire, absorbed, acculturated. All right, it's saying Athens remained the center of learning and philosophy during 500 years of Roman rule. Patronized by emperors such as Nero and Hadrian. But the conversion of the empire to Christianity ended the city's role as a center of pagan learning. Hold on. It said, but the conversion of the empire to Christianity ended the city's role as a center of pagan learning. The emperor Justinian closed the schools of philosophy in 529. This is generally taken to mark the end of the ancient history of Athens. Now, it did become pagan because it ended up getting mixed with the Greek stuff and all that. Remember they had changed it already from the beginning of the stuff. So, yeah, okay, cool. So maybe they're trying to say that Christianity is it's close to the real deal versus all the other stuff that all the pagan stuff that end up being mixed in it. Because for them to remix it. Okay, cool. Let me just keep going. I just have my own thoughts with y'all, but I forget. Y'all gotta do that on my own time. All right, Byzantine and Ottoman Athens. Right, Byzantine and Ottoman Athens. Let's see how much further we got. If y'all impatient like me, we won't have that much further to go. We don't have that much longer to go with this. All right, Byzantine and Ottoman Athens. During the period of the Byzantine Empire, Athens was a provincial town, and many of its works of art were looted by the emperors and taken to Constantinople. Okay? It said during the period of the Byzantine Empire, Athens was a provincial town. So all the Athenian stuff was taken to Constantinople during the time of the Byzantine Empire. So Attica was invaded successfully by the Goths and the Bulgars. Those that has something to do with the. No, I don't want to say it because I don't want y'all to quote me on it, but yeah, Bulgars, it stands out for something that I had looked over before. Let me see. Give me a second. It said during the period 1204 to 1458, Athens was fought over by the Byzantines and the French and Italian knights of the Latin Empire. What did it say? It said during the period of 1204. Now we way past the BCE shit now. It says during the period of 1204 to 1458. That's a good amount of time. Athens was fought over by the Byzantines and the French and Italian knights of the Latin Empire. It say the French knights of the De la Roche family held the title Duke of Athens. It say the French knights did. Of the De la Roche family, they held the title Duke of Athens. Later, Catalan and Sicilian adventurers ruled the city for some parts of the 14th century. Right? It says later, Catalan and Sicilian adventurers ruled the city for some parts of the 14th century. Finally, in 1458, Athens fell to the Ottoman Empire. But the city's population, right? It said finally, in 1458, Athens fell to the Ottoman Empire. But the city's population declined, and by the 17th century, it was a mere village. Okay? It says, and it said, what now? It said, and by the 17th century, it was a mere village. The real damage to Athens was caused in the 17th century when the Ottoman Empire was declining. So this around the 1600s, y'all, when the Ottoman Empire was declining. They said the Venetians attacked Athens in 1687. A shot fired during the bombardment of the Acropolis caused a powder magazine in the Parthenon to explode, and the building was severely damaged. After capturing the Acropolis, the Venetians, I think I'm saying that right, employed material from its ancient buildings in repairing its walls. The following year, the Turks set fire to the city. Ancient monuments were destroyed to provide material for a new wall with which the Turks surrounded the city in 1778. Between 1801 and 1805, Lord Elgin, the British resident of Athens, removed reliefs from the Parthenon. In 1822, the Greek insurgents captured the city, but it fell to the Turks again in 1826. Again, the ancient monuments suffered badly. It said again, the ancient monuments suffered badly. The Turks remained in possession until 1833, when they withdrew and Athens was chosen as the capital of the newly established Kingdom of Greece. At that time, the city was virtually uninhabited, being merely a cluster of buildings at the foot of the Acropolis, where the fashionable Plaka district now is. Okay, so that's when they said basically wasn't nobody there anymore. So people was leaving all around the world. And they said this was only during the decline of the Ottoman Empire. Okay, it's a modern Athens. Well, I don't really hear too much about modern Athens. I guess they kind of speeded up though. Yeah, getting into World War II. Okay, cool. It's a modern Athens. It's a Athens was chosen as the Greek capital for historical and sentimental reasons. Not because it was a functioning city during the reign of King Othon, 1832-1862. A modern city plan was laid out and public buildings erected. This is why there are virtually no buildings in Athens dated between the Roman Empire and the 19th century. The finest legacy of this period are the buildings of the University of Athens, the Greek National Library, and the Greek National Academy of Panepistimiou Street. Athens experienced its first period of explosive growth following the disastrous war with Turkey in 1921. It say when more than 1 million Greek refugees from Asia Minor were resettled in Greece. Suburbs such as Neolonia and near Smyrni began as refuge camps on the Athens outskirts. Athens was occupied by the Germans. They said Athens was occupied by the Germans during World War II and experienced terrible privations during the later years of the war. In 1944, there was heavy fighting in the city between communist forces and the royalists backed by the British. And I understand, y'all, they were basically already saying that this shit wasn't really developed. You know what I mean? That it wasn't even written nobody there. So, for them to go and say Athens was occupied by Germans during World War II, remember the Germans came in and stuff like that, wasn't really nothing going on over there, y'all. So I think that this is like a big ass pretender. Anyway, I don't want to speculate too much on it. It's after World War II, the city began to grow again as people migrated from the villages and islands to find work. Greek entry into the European Union, 1981, brought a flood of new investment to the city, but also increasing social and environmental problems, right? It said Athens had some of the worst traffic congestion and air pollution in the world. This posed a new threat to the ancient monuments of Athens, as traffic vibration weakened foundations and air pollution corroded marble. The city's environmental and infrastructure problems were the main reason Athens failed. Were the main reason why the Athens failed to secure the 1996 centenary Olympic Games. Hold on, y'all. One second. Send this text out. My bad, y'all. Hold on. There's a long pause. Let me see something. Let's see something right quick. All right. I'm gone, y'all. Okay, here we go. It's that Athens failed to secure the 1996 centenary Olympic Games. Democracy, widely considered to the ideal form of governance owes much to Athenian democracy. Athenian democracy was based on an assembly of all citizens, but representative elements were also built into the system. For example, the Council of 500, responsible for drawing up the assembly's legislative agenda, was chosen by lot, while the chair for each day was also daily chosen by lot, as were those who served within the judicial and court systems. Thus, representative parliament's government has its roots in the Athenian legacy. Of course, Athenian legacy. Of course, women and non-citizens did not take part in the Athenian system, and the high value Athenian. Of course, right? Women and non-citizens did not take part in the Athenian system, and the high value of the Athenian place on man's place. Athenians placed on man's place in the universe did not include women, while Aristotle thought that some people were natural slaves. Thus, humanity was a limited concept. What the hell? Aristotle came with the slavery shit. It said, nonetheless, the basic values of liberal humanism extended and applied more comprehensively, including universal respect for human life and dignity, derived from Hellenic and, in particular, Athenian thought. Artists continue to be inspired by the Athenian legacy. Builders continue to imitate Athenian culture. If the heritage of ancient Athens were to be subtracted from the history of humanity, human life would be culturally and intellectually poor. The artistic and intellectual legacy of Athens continues to be studied and researched within the academy. Now, if you give so much credit to them, then what about the Venetians and all those people? So maybe all of y'all same folk. But yeah. So for the most part, y'all see where we're going with it. How they say it all came from them. And you see they had the dog probably gotta use the bathroom. You got them hollering out there. Let's see. I'll read that right quick. And let me go deal with my dog. All right, y'all see that right there? Y'all know they were talking about the Athena goddess and all that, right? And so it said Athena is the Olympian goddess of wisdom and war, and the adored patroness of the city of Athens, a virgin deity. She was also somewhat paradoxically associated with peace and handicrafts, especially spinning and weaving. It's a majestic and stern. Athena surpassed everybody in both of her main domains. All right. So she was the goddess of wisdom and war. All right. So yeah, man, I might tap a little bit more into that. Let me see something. I already got some things pulled up for y'all in a way. So it's saying Greek mythology, right? These are the people you got in Greek mythology. You got Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, Hestia, Hera, Ares, Athena, Apollo, Aphrodite, Hermes, Artemis, Hephaestus, all the motherfuckers, right? So Zeus represent like, it says Zeus overthrew his father Kronos, right? He then drew lot, man, fuck all that. I ain't finna read through all that shit, y'all. But y'all wanna know what these motherfuckers believe in? You pull this shit up because it sat on the cool. That's what they got you voting for. They got you voting under this Pantheon, Greek Pantheon and shit like that. So you see, you got all of them. They explain all these motherfuckers. As y'all can see, right? Y'all can read through all that. Mount Olympus, Aphrodite, all that stuff. All right, and y'all know what time it is. You know how sick this shit is. Show you how people be eating their children and all that type of stuff. And so now, understand that everything this representing, they actually they acted out in real life as rituals. Okay, so they know this like myths and all that, and so they act these myths out in real time as rituals. That's what's crazy about it. So I'm just being real with y'all on that. Yeah, and so I'm just trying to show y'all how that's related to our real time right now. So you see, they got the Olympia thing going on, right? And then the old Capitol building, which says 600 Washington Street, Southeast, Olympia, Washington. Okay, Olympia, Washington. All right, so now you got the Capitol Hill, right? You got the Capitolium or Capitol Hill. All right, so the hill was later known as Mons Saturnius. So it's the Saturn shit, dedicated to the god Saturn. What? Capitol Hill. Dedicated to who? The god Saturn. They say most citation needed, whatever. Okay, cool. They say the word Capitolium first meant temple of Jupiter. Most citation, get some citations for that then, motherfucker. Take that one. Right, cool, right? So it's a temple of Jupiter. It's a little later built there, and afterwards the hill was used, the whole hill, okay? Say temples of Jupiter on the hills. Thus, Mons Capitolinius, the adjective of Capitolinian or whatever, okay, cool. It's an etymological myth. Ancient sources connect the name to head, summit, and the tale was that when laying the foundations of the temple, the head of a man was found. So all that old shit. All right, but y'all see how they saying it was it looked and it was built. So y'all read more into it. Y'all see where y'all going, but y'all see how I'm trying to connect why they naming it Capitol Hill and stuff like that, and how it's related to all this paganism, right? So it's still talking about the Temple of Saturn right there. It said the Temple of Saturn was built at the foot of the Capitol Hill in the western end of the Forum Romanum. All right. So on and so forth with that. And we get dealing with Michelangelo and all the motherfuckers. All right. So now, what does it mean to vote? Right? So we're going back to the beginning. Let y'all see how I got to it. Might have went ahead of myself on this one. All right, went to the word vote, define vote. That led me to the word vow, right? Vow, wish, right? So it led me to English from Latin, votum, a vow, wish. So first of all, to you Christian believers, you know you ain't supposed to make no vows to nothing, nobody. So when you vote, understanding you're making a vow, understanding you're making a wish. You ain't supposed to be making no wish. I wish, I wish, I wish, I wish, I wish. Hey, probably the wrong person. But anyway, let's say from vovere to vow. Okay, they say the verb dates from the mid 16th century, so that's 1500s. So does that place around the same time all the stuff was going on? Yes, quite frankly. So let's see. Let's keep going. So a vow means what? A deity. Okay, so cool. A vow. Going down, solemn promises, all that type of stuff. Monastic road, typically marriage or monastic career. Okay, keep going on down. Specific premise of specific thing. Okay, archaic definition. Dedicate to someone or something, especially a deity. All right, now, so get to the origin of what this is. Bring you back to vote. Let you know we're still on the right trail. So then that's when you go into what a deity is, of course, right? What is a deity? Okay, deity is a god or goddess in the in a polytheistic religion. In a polytheistic religion, like all those goddesses that I just showed y'all, to my divine status, quality or nature, whatever. The creator or supreme being in a monotheistic religion, such as Christianity, a representation of a god or goddess, such as a statue or carving. All right? So, some type of deity, some type of god. So, what god do they have y'all voting for? It's what the big $1 million question is. You know what I mean? Not that something's wrong with it's up to you to be worshiping a god or whatever. But we know people follow different types of gods, so to speak. And I just want to know if you guys are aware of the one they have you following, and if you agree to this or not. And if not, then it should be like some type of border contract or some type of deceit going on within this. You see what I'm saying? So now it says Middle English denoting the divine nature of God. From Old French, Deity. From Ecclesiastical Latin, Deitas. Translating Greek, Theotis. From Deus, Dios, God. Okay, so we got that clear. So now we go to Columbia. Columbia personification. Columbia is the female national personification of the United States, right? It was also a historical name applied to the Americas and to the New World. The association was given to rise to the names of many American places, objects, institutions, and companies, including the District of Columbia, South Carolina, right? South Carolina, Columbia University, Hale, Columbia, and Columbia Rediva. So to let you know, South Carolina itself is not being its name from this. Yeah, they blowing me up right now. Right when I'm doing the video, huh? That's how it go down, right? It said the Columbia River and the Canadian province, British Columbia, right? Images of the Statue of Liberty, Liberty enlightening the world, erected in 1886, largely displays personified Columbia as the female symbol of the United States by around 1920. What it say? It said images of the Statue of Liberty, Liberty enlightening the world, that's the Enlightenment Age, erected in 1886, largely displaced, personified Columbia as the female symbol of the United States by around 1920. So the Statue of Liberty is the Liberty enlightening the world, okay? That's what it sounds like to me. However, Columbia's most prominent display today is being part of the logo of the Hollywood film studio Columbia Pictures, okay? Columbia's new Latin toponym and used since the 1730s with reference to the 13 colonies. What the hell? It said Columbia is the new Latin toponym in use since the 1730s with reference to the 13 colonies which formed the United States. It originated from the name of the Genesee explorer Christopher Columbus, and from the Latin end, Christopher Columbus, 13 colonies, oh, what the fuck is going on here, right? So ending and coming in Latin countries, paralleling Britannia, Galilea, or whatever it is, and others. All right, y'all? But y'all already see this shit about to start getting serious. So now, the early representation of this is the personification of the Americas in Messenian porcelain, 1760, from a set of 4 continents, right? It says, the earliest type of personification of the Americas, seen in European art from the 16th century onward, that's like the 1500s onwards, reflected the tropical regions in South and Central America, from which the earliest travelers reported back. These were most often used in sets of female personifications of the 4 continents. The 4 continents, right? They say America was depicted as a woman who, like Africa, was only partly dressed, typically in bright feathers. They say typically invariably formed her headdress. She often had a parrot, was seated on a caiman or alligator with cornucopia or something like that. Sometimes A severed head was a further attribute on the scenes, and cannibalism was seen in the background. All right, there we go, out bullshit. But anyway, trying to let y'all know for countries, for parts of the world, so I guess other people had on clothes because it was cold as fuck. So it was cold, hot down here, so that's how they personified it. But this is before they came over here. They came over here. They saw that that's how they was rocking. And they took that back. Is what they're saying. It's the 18th century, 17th century, right? 1700. I mean, those versions of this depiction tending as time went on to soften the rather savage image into the Indian princess, right? Into an Indian princess type, and in churches emphasizing conversion to Christianity, served European artists well enough, all right? They say by the 18th century, they were becoming rejected by settlers in North America who wanted figures representing themselves rather than the Native Americans who were often in conflict, instead of figures of Native Americans who they were often in conflict with. Y'all peep that? So it's like letting y'all know that it's so-called Native Americans, so-called black people. What I'm trying to say is what it was going. It's what was going down, and they got tired of worshiping our images and stuff like that, and they wanted to be changed more to what they look like. I guess whoever they were, because they're starting to get closer to the 1900s. I mean, the 1800s and stuff like that. Things start changing. They say Massachusetts Chief Justice Samuel, cause Hollywood and all that. All right, but anyway, they say Massachusetts Chief Justice Samuel Sewall used the name Columbina, right? Columbina, not Columbia, for the New World in 1697. Okay, they say the name Columbia for America first appeared in 1738 in the weekly publication of the debates of Parliament and Edward Cave's The Gentleman's Magazine. So at first it was called Columbina. Columbina, not Columbia. It's a publication of Parliament for technical. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, y'all people all that right how it got changed and all that. It was about Native Americans and shit like that. Then they got mad, want to change around, everything else, There was conflict with that. Then you had Uncle Sam's Thanksgiving dinner right down here. It says Columbia, and an early rendition of Uncle Sam in an 1869 Thomas Nash cartoon having Thanksgiving dinner with a diverse group of immigrants. Diverse group of immigrants, right? Immigrants. Diverse group. All of them immigrants. All right. So yeah, that's where the Thanksgiving dinner come in at. Everybody working together against the people that's not uh an immigrant. All right, so Uncle Sam ended up taking over the Mother Goddess. Okay, just to let y'all know, so run down through that. So, could I get up out of here? Uh, yeah, so look into the history of Uncle Sam and all that shit, and how it overridden her or whatever. But they'll show you all that shit. Let's keep going. You know what I mean? South Carolina schools and all that. How serious South Carolina was. All right, got a certification, trying to make sure, and then I need to point out to y'all right quick. There's a whole lot of shit in here. Y'all need to read it. All of it. All right. So y'all can see what the hell they really got y'all under. They say early in World War One, 1914, 1918, the image of Columbia standing over kneeling over a doughboy was used in lieu of the Purple Heart medal she gave to her son, accolades, see what I'm saying? Shit get deep, talk Purple Heart and all that shit. All right, Statue of Liberty, say, yeah, image, okay, cool. They said the Goddess of Liberty was also struck to the face, have dollar coins, okay, Walking Liberty, Columbia pictures, adopted Columbian, Columbina as its logo. Because remember, they at first they wanted to give a black woman as a Statue of Liberty, and they changed it to what they got now. All right, say Statue of Freedom. Say the 1863 Statue of Freedom atop the United States Capitol building. Computer running low, that shit. I thought my shit plugged in. Push it in, push that. All right, say in 1863. Statue of Freedom atop the United States Capitol building, though not actually called Columbia, shares many of her iconic characteristics. So let y'all know that's basically what it is, and it's on top of the United States Capitol building. All right, okay, atop Philadelphia's Memorial Hall. Okay, atop the, it's on top of different shits. Right. Yeah, so that's basically it, y'all. You know what I mean? They give all your references and all that old shit, different kind of ways. So you see, yeah. So we made it through it. You know, so we get to the Harlem. What it was for? What I put this up for? What I put cuz up for? Just give y'all a briefing. I'm gonna get on up out of here. All right, so check out the Harlequin when y'all get a chance. It says the best known of the Zenith comic serving characters in the Italian. Y'all see where they started doing all that prejudice shit, so or whatever. Okay, Devil Color Beano right there. That's why I got it in there. It got something to do with the same shit. All right, it said the Harlequin is characterized by the cared costume. His role is that of a light-hearted, nimble, and astute servant, often acting to thwart the plans of his master. Right? What? Often acting to thwart the plans of his master and pursuing his own love interest, Columbia, with wit and resourcefulness, often competing with the sterner and melancholic period. He later developed into the prototype of a romantic hero. Harlequin inherits his physical agility and his trickster qualities, as well as his name, from mischievous devil, right? Character in medieval passion plays. So he played the character of a devil, so to speak. And that's where you get the black man being devil and all that kind of black folk being devils and all that type of shit, how they looked at us. You know what I mean? They say he had the trickster ability. To me, it reminded me of being wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. You know what I mean? She had the romantic hero type shit. Vanessa. All right. But anyway, yeah, that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother topic, I said.